Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my January wrap up. I'm so glad that this month is over. I had a great reading month. I read things that I enjoyed. My real life month kind of sucked, and I feel like that's a universal American experience right now. So to combat these trying times, let's talk about some books. According to my Storygraph wrap up, I read 5 books this month, which equaled 2,626 pages. My average rating was a 3.9, which is pretty good. The first book I read in January was an arc of Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shawnee McGuire, which is now out. It came out on January 7th, I believe. I gave this book a 4.25 stars because I absolutely loved the representation in here, and I loved the story that we got to follow with this character called Nadia. This is part of the Wayward Children series, and if you know the series, you'll know that every other book takes place like within a portal world, and then the other books take place with kind of the main group of kids from Miss Eleanor's home for wayward children. So this book was about one of the portal worlds, and I really loved this book in particular. I personally felt so bad for Nadia. Like, she grew up as an orphan in Russia and gets adopted by this white couple from America. They want to assimilate her and force her to forget her native tongue and her culture, and they want to fix this disability that she was born with where she doesn't have an arm below her elbow. And Nadia never knew any other way of living, and so that's how she grew up. That's what she was used to, and she never felt different or other or broken until these people made her feel like that, and my heart literally broke for her. I think she was such a strong character. Like, she went through so much at such a young age, being raised in an orphanage, and you know, once she gets adopted by these people, like the things that she had to deal with, like, you know, changing her self-perception. And I just felt for her so deeply. And when she went to this other world and finally found a place where she belonged, I was so happy for her. I was rooting for her. I was like, yes, girl, I'm so happy for you right now. And the ending of this book, honestly, made me really sad, and I'm mad. I knew that's how it ended because Nadia is a side character in one of the other books, but like, I was also really pissed off because I was like, she just deserves a happy ending, you know? The next book I read in January was We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Torrado. I read this for the Black Horror Reading Challenge that was created by Book Tribe with Ty on Instagram. I gave this book a 4 stars. I thought it was so like realistically creepy, and then like there is definitely some, you know, horror elements that are not realistic, but I think the way that it was set up, it was such an odd, eerie experience to have to listen to. In this book, we follow Sol and her wife Alice as they move into this neighborhood with an HOA. And when they first get there, things are creepy right off the bat. The neighbors come to welcome them, and they are very, very persistent that they sign the HOA agreement. And ever since they denied them, like, weird things just start happening all the time. And I really loved it. I think Sol was such an interesting character to follow. She had issues with her mother and father, and so we kind of got to learn about her background. Her mother's dead now, but her father's in a nursing home. She feels obligated to have this relationship with him even though he's homophobic and doesn't want to meet her wife. And she also worked at Yale University, I believe, as a research scientist and got accused of plagiarism, but a white man stole her work and took credit for it, and somehow she got blamed. And so we're seeing her with literally so many things coming at her and being the only one to like be realizing like something is going on with this HOA. There's something not right in this neighborhood. And I honestly thought like the story was so cool. I do wish we got a little bit more like lore, I guess I would say, because there's one kind of thing in particular where Sol finds like this old journal that's somebody else who lived in the house, and then there's these like symbols that are supposed to have like this lineage that come from like a long time ago, but we only get vague information about that. So I don't know. I like to know those things. I do wish we got to know a little bit more about like what the thing was. I can't really say because I don't want to spoil. But I will just say that there is like an entity kind of situation, and it has like roots in like history, and I wish that we just got a little bit more of that. But other than that, I thought this was so creepy, so interesting, and a really just like entertaining wild time. It was good. Definitely pick it up. The next thing that I finished in January was Valor by John Gwynne. This was the Reading Realm book club pick for January, and we're reading the sequel in February until the middle of March. If you want to join, link down below. But this is the second book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and it follows Corbin, his sister Cohen, and a couple of other casts of characters who are all pieces on a chessboard for this prophecy. And basically the prophecy in book one, this is not spoilery, in book one, it's determined from this ancient giant prophecy. And by giant, I mean like the creature, not like the prophecy is giant. The creatures called the giants like wrote a prophecy, and it was prophesized that a god war that had happened centuries ago was going to come back again and happen again. And so we kind of just follow these players as they're moving through this world and dealing with the prophecy coming to light. And there's supposed to be like a prophesized hero and a prophesized villain that are like the avatars for these gods. I think the concept is so cool. I mean, it's nothing like extremely unique, but I do feel like in a way it has a uniqueness to the way that it's told, because a lot of the times we're following people that like you might not even care about, and your opinions on people like waver back and forth so much just because of the way that they're written. And you do get invested in these characters, even the ones that you hate. Like I'm fully invested in one particular character that I'm like, I can't wait for him to fucking die. And so every time I read his chapter, I'm like, is this it? Am I finally gonna get what I want? So like, even though I don't love him, I am like invested in his storyline. And I feel like this book just has a lot of themes of like found family and familial ties. And honestly, I think John Gwynne is such a nice man in all of his interviews, and he always seems like just such a nice person. And then you read his books and you're like, wow, you did terrible things to these people, John Gwynne. You really did terrible things to these people. And I will leave it at that. I give this book a 4.5 stars. The next book I read in January was Mermedusa by Thomas Taylor. This is the 5th and final book in the Erie on Sea series. I gave this a 4 stars. I think it's really cute. I really think this series is adorable. It's a middle grade mystery, like supernatural mystery almost kind of vibe, where the two main characters, Herbie and Violet, team up to investigate missing things, missing people. And I just think that Herbie and Violet are such wholesome characters, and their friendship is also just really sweet, and I love how much they care about each other. And again, this has a very strong theme of found family. There is a little bit of whimsy, there's danger, and I just think it's really fun. And I thought this was a good conclusion overall to the series, even though I think it did leave a little bit to be desired at the end, just because it was kind of all like a little convenient. But I mean, it's a middle grade, so I'm not gonna fault it for that. I do think that for a middle grade audience, like everything being wrapped up neatly with a bow at the end is like would be satisfying for them. And I also just think it's really cute, and I love the illustrations that are in here as well. This is a series I'll definitely be saving so I can share it with my son as he gets older. And the last book that I read in January was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I liked this better than Iron Flame. I'll give it that. I think this book honestly could have been longer, because I feel like we didn't get enough. I don't know how to explain it. So I feel like everyone knows what Fourth Wing is about, right? Okay, Dragon Rider School, military school, rebellion, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, you get it. And this one, I think Iron Flame was so bad. I think Iron Flame is the worst case of second book syndrome I've ever seen in my entire life. But this one I think was definitely better than that. But I also think it was not that great. I gave it like a 2.75 stars. I think Rebecca Yarros unfortunately had her publishers pressure her so much after the success of Fourth Wing to bang out Iron Flame, which really caused it to suffer. And then I think like her trying to come back from that was this attempt, and I feel like she's definitely on the right path, so like probably whatever book comes next will be better. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just wasn't that great to me personally. I feel like the two main characters in here are completely different characters from the first two books. In book 2, Violet is so bitchy and whiny, and then all of that in here completely stops. It's never addressed at the beginning. She never like tries to make amends for it, or like, you know, we never see her attempting to repair the relationships that she kind of made suffer because of her behavior. Like we never see that. It's just literally gone, and then we just move on. Like it just wasn't addressed. And then in here also I don't know, Xaden didn't feel like the Xaden from book 1. Although I will say, like, they've been through so much in the first 2 books. But out of nowhere, Xaden starts calling her love. Not even like my love or darling. Literally just love. Like, are you British? Because I don't think you are. It was just very strange. Like, they'd be talking and out of nowhere he'd be like, blah, 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 love. And I'm like, ugh, I wanted to fucking throw up every time I saw it. So there's that. I also think this book had a severe lack of Jacinia. She's like my favorite character. Where the fuck is she? She's the only one with a brain. Where is she? I do think there's some interesting lore, but I also feel like it wasn't explained enough. And there's a thing that happens in this book. It pissed me off. It pissed me off a lot. And I literally almost DNF'd this book. I texted my friend Danny and I was like, you need to tell me if XYZ happens or I will literally not read it anymore. Yeah. So sorry, not sorry. So those are all the books I read in January. Definitely not my best month pages wise, but I mean, we had a lot going on collectively as a country. So I think overall that's pretty good that I still read over 2,500 pages. If you've made it this far in the video, leave a mermaid emoji in honor of Mermedusa, and I will see you in the next one.